Hello, everyone. Welcome to this darling evening or night, whenever you're hearing this. I got my good companion here named Nox, and we're gonna get right into it. So basically, fair warning to all listening, contact warning, is that this will talk into some pretty deep subjects, such as in allegations of human trafficking victims, prostitution, assault, or any of the deeper subjects. If you do not feel comfortable hearing about this, exit now. The door on your right.
We
Now
got
let's
a door?
continue. Maybe. I assume they're in the room.
I don't know. They
Okay.
could be walking.
Okay. You having a light little jog listening to us? Okay. I'll get right into this. I'm gonna give you a little fun fact as before we get right into this case. We like to talk about unsolved mysteries here. So if you don't like a satisfying ending, leave now, because we will never know. Uh,
we don't know either.
I don't know, man. We have theories which we'll get into. Let me give you this fact. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, two U.S. citizens disappeared while on cruises during the 3-month period from July 1st, 2019 and September 30th, 2019. Records also show 35 allegations of sexual assault, 2 cases of aggravated assault, 5 thefts of more than $10,000, and 2 attempts of sabotage reported to the FBI. Not many people know this about cruises, because they just see them as a place where you go when you're old and you need a little vacation from the family. Or you take your family there and you let your little kids run about as you drink a little mojito while staring off the ocean, wondering, is the only vacation I'm going to get?
Alan, are you like trying to say that that's what you want to do when you go on a cruise?
No, no, no. I'm afraid of cruises. This is what I'm establishing. This is one of the cases make me afraid of cruises. Hey, because cruises have a lot of dark history, as we just said in statistics above. A lot of crazy things happens on cruises. Not only not only to the passengers, but also to the crew members and crew staff on that cruises. And especially you're in the middle of the ocean where you can't run. Where are you gonna go?
Like the ocean, swimming.
Swimming. I'm not a good swimmer. I sink. So I have nowhere else to go. But let's get right into this case. The case about Amy Lynn Bradley. You can continue it, Knox. We're serious
Amy.
here. Serious.
Yeah. We're 100% serious. I am 100%. Hemera is not just the only one that is serious. Woo. Um, so
Whoa.
basically, the case we're talking about is Amy Lynn Bradley. She was 23 years old and from Chesterfield County, Virginia. And around this time, Amy had just finished college and was had a new full time job as a lifeguard, waiting for her back at home. Um, Her family, including her parents Ron and Iva, and her brother Brad, they went Brad. they
Yeah, Brad Bradley. The parents were not unique in this name here.
I mean it's Amy Brad, so I don't know what they went on in an all expense paid long weekend long courtesy from Ron Bradley's winnings this trip from his insurance sales job. Wow, must be nice. But like
Yeah, like he's quite up there.
do jobs normally just have like week.
Now it depends on the job. Like some jobs, like if you're like a good enough employee, they will like give you a vacation. Like, that's like how to keep the employees happy. It's like keep you hard working, and we'll give you an all expensive paid trip.
Isn't it like
Also, interesting fact I should give off
oh
is that the week long expensive paid trip was just for Ron and Iva Bradley. It was not for their children, but they considered of just paying for the kids to go on a trip to be a family vacation, considering that Amy Bradley just graduated college and she's gonna go now and live her life. They felt like it was like, let's have a little family vacation, go on this cruise together, you know?
oh boy, did that go wrong so quickly after that? Yeah,
If only they knew.
yeah. Man, what it was just Wow, you know, it was supposed to be all nice and sweet. Like, yeah, we're gonna spend some time together. You guys are gonna go off to college, and you're gonna go off and have your job. And it's like next thing you know, boom, you're gone. And then
Yeah,
you
or
got so many
as
things.
as the listeners are gonna find something more. Let's continue on. On March 21st, 1998, the four of them were vacationing on the Royal Caribbean cruise called the Rhapsody of the Sea. It is considered one of the luxurious cruises of its time, standing at 11 stories tall, and during this time, the ship was so new it was celebrating its first year.
It was a
The
baby.
ship usually designated rounds, but for the Bradley family trip, it would make the rounds from Puerto Rico to Aruba to Curacao and the Netherlands Antilles. Not gonna continue this, Knox?
Oh yeah. I'm like in.
Self-focused.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My mind went to the idea of like this is a baby ship. It's like a year old. It's
It's fresh. It's fresh on the lovely beaches of the Caribbean. And
yeah.
Caribbean is one of the most famous places that cruises to go. Because, lovely beaches, the scenic
This
routes.
is where you be a big boat now.
Evolve.
I'm a big boat. I got the good cruises now. All right. But in March 23rd of 1998, during this night, the cruise ship was docked in the shores of where?
Curacao.
Curica?
Curacao.
Curico?
Curacao. Curacao.
Where is that?
In the Caribbean.
Where like is it like is it just an island or is this like
Yeah, look, isn't most of the things in the Caribbean just an island?
I've never been to Caribbean, so I have no.
Neither have I.
Yeah, one of us
I've
knows
seen a
about
map.
this, and I avoid maps. And it's considering it's a cruise where everyone can get nice and feisty. Did you really say feisty? Nice and
Yeah,
feisty.
feisty is a word.
The night was rolling.
Yeah, they do get nice and feisty.
And none of the so during this night, no one knew about the events that was gonna happen later on, and the same ship. Amy and her brother Brad were doing what casual 20-year-olds would do and enjoying their time in the club on this cruise, dancing in and out with people, enjoying some lovely drinks and listening to music. The music they were dancing to was a cruise ship band called Orchid Blue. Have I heard of this before?
It's Blue Orchid, not Orchid Blue.
Oh. But like, have we heard this before though? Blue Orchid.
I feel like you heard about it before. It mainly got popular because of this case, but they're not
It was a
a
publicity
designated
stunt.
like popular band because they're mainly played for cruise lines.
It was a publicity stunt for the band. This is how they got popular. This is how they hit
Oh
it
God, no! This is bad publicity.
off. But either way, both Amy and Brad were quite close to some of the band members and even chatted with a few of the band members as they frequently went to the club to relax. Amy has even danced with the bass player, Alistair Douglas, who went by the nickname Yellow. Who the hell?
We will never know why.
Who decides they want to be called the color?
I don't know. Nicknames, man.
I understand if you were named a color, like yeah, that wasn't your decision. But if you picked the color yellow though.
What if someone else gave him the nickname Yellow?
Why? Did he have yellow hair?
I don't know him personally. I don't know.
I'm gonna search up Alistair Douglas. What do they look like?
You're really gonna figure out what he looked like?
Where did yellow come from?
I don't know. Maybe he got popular because he wore a lot of yellow clothing. Okay, back to the case. Back to this case. We're very serious. On the 24th of 1998, 1 a.m., after letting loose on the club, both Amy and Brad decided to call it in and go back to their cabin, which the entire family shared. They had separate rooms, but they shared like one cabin together. Or, family unit. Before going to bed, Amy decided to go out on the balcony and have a little cigarette. Her brother joined her on the deck while they talked for a bit. Brad decided to go in bed first, as he was tired after the long day. He said goodnight to Amy. As he recalled, the last thing he said to her was, "I love you."
I'm
A
gonna
few hours
stop you
later,
there though. What kind of sibling says I love you?
I a caring sibling, you know? It
I
can just be like, good night, love you.
I don't I don't recall the last time I said that to a sibling.
And I think, oh, that's deep. It's okay.
It's it's not
It's
horrible.
okay.
It's usually.
Nox, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry. Do you, Karma? Do you say I love you to your siblings?
During Christmas, I don't know.
Oh, Christmas. All right.
Hey, this is affectionate family. They say I love you to each other. Okay, this is important. Okay, they love, they care. Okay, back to the story. A few hours later, the father woke up, restless. He wasn't sure why he woke up. As he recalled, he just had a bad feeling, a little tingles. Once he looked around, he couldn't see Amy. He looked around the room again and noticed that she was sleeping outside on the balcony. As quoted, I could see Amy's legs from the hips down. I dozed off back to sleep. The balcony door was closed. Because it hadn't been opened, I would have gotten up to close it. About 6 a.m., something woke me up again. I got up, and the balcony door was open about 14, 16 inches, and Amy wasn't on deck. I had a little funny feeling at that time, because it was unlike her to be up that early in the morning. End quote. Interesting factor into the Bradley family is that typically, if anyone went anywhere in a cruise line and wanted to let others know where they were, they would typically leave a note, as this was the 90s, and they're on a cruise. Telephones don't work typically. Let anyone know where they were. And that is what worried Ron the most, as there was no note left. Ron documented all his daughter's stuff to see if anything was missing or taken. She wasn't in her bedroom and noticed that only her cigarette and lighter was taken, not her ID or even her sandals. So which means that she left the room without any footwear, which many would assume that she was meant to like come back because typically people don't like leave their rooms without footwear because their feet would hurt. Which, as I said, will give a big indication that Amy was gonna leave out for long. Ron quickly went outside to look at all the common areas and search for Amy, but to no avail, he did not find her. Eventually, he went back to the cabin where he woke up his wife and son to deliver them the terrible news. Amy was missing. Quickly, the family got their bearings and searched amongst the common areas again. But no avail, she did not appear. Family decided to alert the cruise staff, even going directly to the security chief, Loe Costello. Convinced that something bad had happened to Amy, they immediately requested to have the rest of the cruise passengers alerted to look for her. But the chief priority was more towards to the public than to the family's concerns, as it was too early for such announcement. And considering she's an adult, they just said she's probably in someone else's cabin. But even no matter how much the family begged, time was running out, as the ship was docking in Curacao, and eventually the doors could be opened where everyone could leave the ship. The family wanted a search done immediately, as if the gate is opened, someone could take Amy off the shore and they would never find her again. Or at least as easily. But as the cruise staff did not listen, and it was general populace importance to stick to schedule, they opened the gate and let 2,000 passengers off board.
I like it's just there's someone known missing, and I know it's like, oh yeah, maybe they're in a cabin. Oh, they slept around. You still gotta like. I know
Yeah.
you're for the public and your money and all, but like that's something that's gonna get you back like
Yep.
badly, like in cases and whatnot. It's like, oh yeah, no, we decided that we're gonna stick with the populace and we're not gonna follow what these civilians decide. Let them off. I'll be like, someone could have gotten
Yep.
kidnapped.
Yep. Yeah, but like I feel like also like you said, I understand why they weren't like that concerned. Concerned she was a grown adult, but like I feel like it's still important to alert everyone like on comm to be like, Amy Bradley is missing. If anyone sees her, please report to front desk or like something.
Or like give
Because
like a
like
description warning, like oh we're
yeah,
missing this person. Yada description, like female. I think she had like the photo. It's like yeah, she has like brown short cut hair.
yeah, and also in like one of the missing photos reports, there she is. She was taken of the night before, so everyone would have seen her and known what she looks like.
Yeah, so it's a fresh photo. I don't understand why you couldn't do a report. I get the idea, like, the sleeping around thing, but, like, it's still something you should do. Like, I feel like if it was a kid, it'd probably be more like, oh yeah, it's a missing kid. I think it was just because she's
Yeah.
an adult that they decided, nah, let's not.
Yeah, let's not do anything really. Which I feel like it will bite them in the ass later.
Um, if Amy would have left with her, if Amy would have left of her own violations, this gave her an opportunity to sneak off. As now the gates are open, but her family does not believe that she would have run away. Amy had a new job and a new apartment back in Virginia, not to mention that she had gotten a bulldog, Daisy. The crew refused to page Bradley until the ship was at port, as they recounted again that they did not want to disturb passengers. They didn't want to announce her disappearance or hang photos of her around the vessel because it might upset other passengers. Although later the ship was searched, the crew went around and eventually came back saying that they did not see Amy. The crew's chief eventually brought up a theory that it was possible that Amy had fallen overboard or committed suicide, as there are now evidence prints on the balcony next to their cabin with footprints on top of the table. Her family does not believe in this theory, as Amy was a strong swimmer and a trained lifeguard. Along with those important factors, Amy is afraid of the deep waters, so it makes this theory less probable that it would happen. No one could find
Yeah,
an
I
evidence.
agree to that because I'm like, if I'm afraid of deep waters, why would I be so close to the balcony?
I it If you're afraid of deep waters, why are you a lifeguard?
Lifeguards don't go that deep.
I mean,
Just offshore. You're not going like in a deep below.
okay, I have gone very deep in the ocean and had to be saved by a lifeguard. The kid,
Yeah, but I think they're talking about like deep ocean. I think they mean like the abyss of the ocean.
yeah, you got me there. But like, yeah, no, you got me there. Yeah, no, I guess she was like, nope, I'm only gonna stay at the shore. I'll call my buddy up if he has to do the rest.
Yeah, we'll get a paddle boarder for this one.
Now here's the thing: they brought up the evidence, and it's just like, did did they stage the evidence there? Because it was
It,
like,
it, it could be they could have staged the evidence to cover their tracks because you'll find out they didn't do it as good a job as they should.
because it's like,
Let's continue.
did they just bring someone? I know we're about to continue, but did they just tell someone go barefoot and stick your feet on the table?
Maybe. Or they could have gotten shoes and just like stomp.
Yeah, fair. Got me there. Continue.
No one could find evidence that she has fallen or pushed, as there is no body. And there doesn't seem to be any signs of the body anywhere, so obviously we have no body, so she couldn't have gotten murdered. And there's no body in the water, so she couldn't have gotten overboard. So the mystery continues. The family turned their attention to the cruise ship staff, and their own theories have emerged that they believe that certain people on board have been giving their daughter special attention. Quote, we noticed immediately there was a tremendous amount of attention toward Amy from the crew members. Ivor Bradley said in an interview with Dr. Phil. Yeah, they appeared on Dr. Phil.
Is that on Dr. Phil for this?
Yes, they did. It is a very famous case, as I say.
I mean, this is my first time, all honesty, hearing about this case, other than you sending it to me.
Yeah, it is still famous considering she's still missing, so I guess the family is finding all bounds to have people listen to them and hopefully find a way to solve this case. At one point, Ron Bradley remembered one of the raiders asking for Amy's name, saying that they wanted to take her to Carlos and Charlie's restaurant during the ship's dock in Aruba. When he asked his daughter about it, Amy responded, quote, I wouldn't go and do anything with any of those crew members. They give me the creeps, end quote. Queeps. Give me the queeps, you know how it is. Things get creepier as documented. This anecdote is even creepier in the sense that Carlos and Charlie's restaurant is where Natalie Holloway, an 18-year-old American woman who disappeared in Aruba in 2005, was last seen. Sadly, as the ship staff was not helping, the Bradley family had one choice after arguing with the staff so many times. It had two choices. stay on the ship and finish the cruise, or get off the ship and stay in Curacao in the hopes to find Amy. The family chose to disembark and quickly booked a room on the island and tried their best to call all the authorities and the U.S. Embassy. Because she is a missing U.S.
American,
citizen, so
yeah.
American.
I feel like I understand that it was the whole family, right, that got off.
Yeah, the whole family got off.
I feel like they should have left someone on to like at least sort of like Bradley maybe. I understand, but what if they kept her on the ship, or like what if she was still on the ship, you know?
That is a good theory, but I guess they just didn't want to lose another one if they left someone behind.
I understand that completely because I've had siblings lost that way many times. Um,
hmm
it was just something to bring up because like well, you never know. What if she was still left on that ship, or like what if
Yeah,
something had
and I think
happened?
that's yeah, as you said, that's something they had to weigh in. Is like, do we get off or do we all stay?
And then yeah, no,
and
splitting off wouldn't have been the best of options.
yeah, and I feel like also with the getting off in Curacao, they could have actually contacted authorities because, like I said
Oh
earlier,
yeah, there
you
was no
can't.
connection.
Yeah, there's no connection on cruise lines because it's also the '90s, so you didn't have like iPhones or like typically technology we had in that day,
It was
and
like
even
brick
then with
phones, right?
iPhones, yeah, and even then like nowadays, even if you choose take your iPhone on cruise lines, the internet is still bad, and so you can't contact people that well off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So even then, they would probably still have struggled. So it was probably better than the whole experience to like stay and call the U.S. Embassy. Extensive research on the ship and at sea produced no signs of her whereabouts. The Netherlands Antilles Coast Guard conducted a 4-day search that ended on March 27th, and the Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines chartered a boat to continue looking for her, but ended their search on March 29th. The Royal Caribbean Cruise also called upon their lawyers and said the Bradley family would no longer contact any staff unless a lawyer was present. Things eventually get heated when the FBI gets involved. Things are getting serious when the FBI be entering.
FBI, open up.
Haven't had cruise line back. The FBI eventually set off to investigate the ship, and after much discourse with this cruise line, only 2 FBI agents were allowed on board in casual clothing. Which, by the way, I know it's like we said, it's like a cruise, but only 2 agents for an 11-story cruise.
Wait, how big was the cruise again?
Cruise is 11 stories.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could cover that much ground with two people. I get it like in parts in like maybe a days, but like two people really? Only two people were allowed?
Yeah. And it's because they didn't want to disturb the other passengers if they put
I
in like
okay, if they're in casual clothing and if they're properly trained, like I feel like you wouldn't know, you know? Like you
yeah.
I think they're
But
just trying not to get caught for something else.
yeah, that's what the energy's giving off.
Yeah.
And from what the FBI agents have discovered after investigation is that none of the staff, as I said earlier, did any thorough search when Bradley family asked them. Didn't search any staff in passenger cabins. They just went to all the common areas.
Oh, so they could have just hidden her in one of the rooms.
Yeah, that's why the family asked for a thorough search to look at all like even staff and passenger cabins to see if like someone was hiding her or that she was truly was in someone's cabin. But they didn't do any search. They just went to the common areas like the Bradley family did earlier. So they're liars.
Hey, what's up? I just went through all the rooms. No, you didn't. I've seen you walk around here like 2 times in a circle. No. That room, all checked by me. 100%.
The
Not
person
there.
you saw wasn't me. It was another staff member.
We look
And so
exactly the same.
yeah. In the subsequent months, the Bradley family would write to the congressmen, foreign officials, and the White House. Like in any helpful response and funds, they hired private detectives that were paid with the help of Ron Bradley's boss. What a nice boss. But built a website and started a 24-hour hotline. Sadly, the family will only receive tips and sightings. Now let's talk about some.
What kind of boss helps that? I get maybe they have like such a great connection with the boss, but like I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that a boss would pay for all of that.
I
Maybe
think it's quite nice. Maybe like they're close to the boss, or maybe he just like the boss just cares because they lost like the the father just lost his daughter. Like I think most people would be like, "Ooh, that sucks."
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
help. Considers the boss, I think he has more money, so.
yeah. Her. So sightings.
Mm-hmm.
August of 1998, 5 months after she went missing, some Canadian tourists that had just finished swimming said they saw a woman that looked similar to Amy. They were able to recount her down all. What? Recount her down to
They're
all the tattoos
all the
she had.
tattoos.
A Tasmanian. She had a Tasmanian devil tattoo with a basketball
Yeah,
on her
what a.
shoulder. Wow, that's really cool.
I think you're just complimenting the tattoos at this moment.
Because it's like it's I'm assuming it's the Looney Tunes Tasmanian devil, right?
I assume so.
Because
Or
that
like the real Tasmanian devil.
I'm who knows. But that's like a really cool tattoo, and that's on her shoulder. I don't think you would miss that at all.
No, you would not.
Then
It's one of the unique tattoos.
the remaining tattoos was a sun on her lower back and a Chinese symbol on her right ankle and a lizard on her navel. They said that they only saw her as she was walking behind two grown men who were conversing. The moment they saw that Amy had her attention on the tourists, they quickly grabbed the woman and left. That that's not scary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I mean,
As as a couple Canadians, I'm like, what do you do?
oh no, what do we do? I mean, at least they were able to like ID her like later on when
Yeah.
this was all like noticed because it was like, oh yeah, the woman probably has this and this. This couple were like, oh, we saw her right
All her
there,
tattoos.
exactly word by word. I don't think you could mistake a Tasmanian devil with a basketball on your shoulder.
I don't think you can.
I get
Okay.
it. For the sun, yeah. You could lizard, yeah. Chinese symbol, yeah. No, Tasmanian devil, right there on her shoulder. That's hella cool. I'm sorry, Amy, for your disappearance, but you had such a cool tattoo.
I like you're complimenting her.
I, if you're ever listening to this, Amy, I just want to say I love your tattoo.
Why do you think she's listening to this?
You never know.
Yeah, she's out there somewhere, and she's like, let me listen to this podcast real quick.
Next
Okay,
sighting.
next sighting. A couple years later, the family received more information from an ex-Navy man who recounted that he met Amy at a brothel. In 1999, this man said he visited a brothel in Kirkhow and met a woman who told him her name was Amy Bradley. She begged for his help, but he felt like he couldn't help her and said maybe. And went off to do his thing in the brothel. Obviously, he didn't report it because he didn't want to get in trouble for being in a brothel. And the officer sat on this information until he saw Amy Lynn Bradley's face in People's magazines, and also because he already left the Navy.
Oh, hmm. What would
Sadly,
you do?
when they got this information of the brothel and he told the location of where the brothel was at, it was already burned down. So,
Oh wow, they burnt down the brothel?
yeah, the location where it was, yeah, it was already burnt down.
Maybe maybe they were trying to like really erase their tracks for something.
Hmm.
Then again,
Yeah,
it's a brothel.
yeah. So people may be wondering as they're listening to this is like, why did he kidnap Amy? What made her so special? And also, why would he kidnap Amy on like such a cruise line? And when obviously she's with her family and stuff. But I also have to give this emphasis information that Caribbean and even most places in the United States and Mexico have this huge human trafficking situation going around. And one of the most prized members for human trafficking is white women. Pigs are considered a rarity.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
because most people in that area typically scenes everyone around there because they tend to be common. Because where else do you get prostitutes other than local people or like poor people that you can just prostitute out? So white women tend to be a commodity in most places,
Huh.
unless you're in Europe. But then, And so that's why there's a theory that she did get kidnapped and was sold into sexual slavery. Because as a white woman, she would be a commodity over there. And also, this man recounted he saw her in a brothel. So it kind of ties in the clues on like what it could possibly be.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Those,
Okay, we recount one last thing. In 2005, the Bradleys received one last piece of evidence with a help of organization that looked into locating sex trafficking victims on adult websites.
sex
The email
trafficking
contains,
victims.
yeah, sex trafficking victims on adult websites, which is
Sex.
typically where you go on and you see some prostitutes and you choose what prostitute you want to use, basically.
Hmm.
The email contains a photo of a woman who appeared to be Amy, lying on a bed in her underwear and in multiple provocative positions. This clue did not generate any leads and led to a dead end. Once again, we have to end on this note on these sightings. But also, I want to talk about what this one case that kind of broke my heart when I was reading about it. Because publicity brings all types of attention. And the Bradley family got in contact with this one man who said he was able to locate where Amy was. That she was with some cartel members and that they could go rescue her. The family paid him about over $200,000 to do this operative. And then later on, they find out, after being informed by another person, that this person was a Frank Jones. This man who said he knew where Amy was and was going to help them do this operative and got paid $200,000, was a fraud and a liar. He didn't know where Amy was. He was just going to take all this money and run.
It says he got sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Yeah, he got sentenced because you know what you did was a lie and that's illegal.
Do, does that happen a lot? Do people
Yes, it
just
does.
really? People just say
Uh huh.
that they're gonna like they oh I know where they are, I'm gonna help, and they just run away. Is this
Yeah.
really that common?
Yeah, it's common and also like another thing, like another case is where people just turn themselves in saying they're a certain serial killer.
Oh, is it like just for the credit?
Yeah, it's just for the credit. Like you can be in prison and just say, "Ah, yeah, that murders were me," and then evidence finds out that you weren't even in that place when this murder was happening. How could it be you? And they're just like, "It was me."
Do, what happens to people like that? Do they just
They investigate them, and then there's a certain law they have, which is obstruction of obstruction. I can't say a certain word.
obscussion?
Obstruction of evidence. It's like, or just like interfering with the police evidence of just like, hey, we're trying to do a case here. We're gonna jail you because you're annoying, basically.
Oh, huh. The more you know.
Yeah, and so this ends this case to a dead end. Years have gone by. It is now, from the recording of this, it is 2021, and there's still no signs of Amy Bradley. If you have any evidence that says you have seen Amy, as all of this is saying, or you know where she is, please contact the Bradley family and let them know, or contact the FBI. Or you see any victims at all. It doesn't even have to be Amy Bradley. You see any sex trafficking victims, please contact authorities and please get that person away from the danger, which is other people.
Help if you can.
Help.
Just try to help. But if you can't,
Yeah, just try to help.
if you can't, it's very understandable. Like if you're also in a predicament like that, try to help yourself first.
Yeah, it also depends what country you are in. Because certain countries have laws, and you don't know what law you could be breaking just by trying to fight against a person. Like we recently found out that if you try to defend yourself in the UK, you may get prosecuted for murder. Um,
I need to research that more. I don't know why UK self.
UK self-defense laws. Yeah, and so there are many theories out there what happened to Amy. Like the Royal Caribbean says, she could have just fallen overboard, or what the Bradley family thinks is that she got sold.
It has to be a reasonable force in terms of self defense.
It is a reasonable force.
What defines a
Kind of like a
Sorry,
punch.
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry to change the subject, but listen. And there are many theories out there, and so I just want to end us with this question of which is the better one? Is she alive or dead? Which fate is more fortunate than
Oh,
what should be rampant?
I kind of would
Especially
rather
what
be
is rampant
dead.
today. Just die.
I don't want to deal with sex trafficking. I don't. I
I,
wouldn't
I
want to.
think anyone would want to.
But then again, there's like the chance quotations that you may escape. But like that's so you never know when you're in that actual situation. I kind of would rather like you know kick the bucket because I don't want to
Yeah.
experience that.
Yeah, and I understand what you mean. I think it's just like, especially when you're living with that, you don't know when the day you can be saved, or you just die there, and you don't know when you're gonna die, especially in such a like a gruesome. And even if you did live and you got rescued, you gotta live with that trauma.
It's really gotta hurt. Just always
Yeah,
remembering what you experienced, and then who you
yeah,
experienced it with. Like, what if you see a lot of stuff in that kind of environment? No.
yeah, you do. Especially since you basically in this scenario, like you face sex trafficking. But I'm not. There's not. That's not only trafficking out there. There's modern slavery where you get sold to factories to do basically free labor. You get sold to other families to basically be their servant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a thing that sometimes happens, but you just gotta find out, especially since a lot of people can become a victim, like with Amy Bradley, if like she really did get kidnapped. She was just on a cruise life. She was enjoying life.
She had a job. She had a dog. I hope that dog's doing good right now.
I think that dog was doing well. I'm pretty sure her parents obtained a dog. Uh,
It
I
kind
know we're gonna be there's like a subtle jokes we said along the way, but this is a very serious case, and we're trying to lighten up to be ourselves because this is like our genuine reactions as we're reading through it.
yeah, yeah. No, this is something that's gonna be very common if you keep watching our stuff or listening.
Yeah, as most people would probably know, humor is the best way to make ourselves feel better.
Um, but going back to the question, which is better? Would you rather just kind of?
Which fate is better, basically? I think most people would agree death is probably better.
The death would be probably the better one. Um,
Yeah.
but thanks for listening. Um, see you next time. I'm
Hope you're
Nox.
all doing good. Thank you.
This is this is our first episode.
We don't know how to end things correctly. We'll find out on the way.
We'll
You
get
just
it.
listen.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
If
Um,
we missed any information, please tell us. Or you want to have a discussion in the chat
just leave a comment
about.
below about anything we missed or stuff that we probably like messed up or were said incorrectly. Um,
Hmm.
and we'd like to talk about it. We like conversing about these kind of things. It's something we
Yeah.
enjoy talking about. We also will talk about other stuff, not just unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. I'm just agreeing. Yeah.
But that's gonna be the end of this one. I'm Nox. That's her.
I'm Hemera.
See you next
Jazz
time.
hands. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Goodbye.
Goodbye.